All right, Matt.
All right, man. Hey, we back again. Hey, it's a special affair. It's a family affair. Shout out to everybody who's joining us on the SOLC Sports and Culture page. It's a simulcast. Shout out to everybody who's over on the We Coming For You cast page. We doing it up here, man.
Hey,
And it's a special episode of the Sports Scenario. Joined in part by my man Rated R, my man RVS. We
Yes,
got
sir.
the whole. We about to cover the whole. I don't know, the rooter to the tutor Mania. I had to pull the boys together, man. What's the word, y'all? What's happening?
Man, this is a very special episode. It's like one of those old sitcoms, man, where it's a cautionary tale, but then it turned into something way better than that. Well,
right.
out of this whole thing, man, we got Vince McMahon mustache. We got UFC, and we got WWE merging together into a company called Endeavor. It's crazy, man. What you got on the Rated R?
Dude, this day, just coming off of a very successful 2-day event, and then hearing about the sale this morning, like you woke me up with the sale with the text. I know they talked about it a little bit last night. We'll get into that, but just wow, this is probably one of the most impactful Mania weekends probably ever in the history of the company. So looking forward to see what the future brings. But just this is crazy, man. Just crazy.
So if we went on a shock and a awe rankings here, we're gonna do three things. So my three options are spoiler alert, Roman Reigns retaining the undisputed championship in the main event. WWE getting sold, this time for real, not to Saudi Arabia either, but for real being sold this time. And number three, Vince McMahon's mustache. Rank those three things from a shock and awe output from this weekend.
Well, I gotta say, man, Roman Reigns retaining is like not shocking at all. I like what everybody said. Now, the IWC is up in arms. Everybody is like, yo, that's the wrong move. It's the wrong call. All of Cody's people are mad about it, but it is absolutely the right call because you bring in Cody Rhodes. It's exactly a year that he's been in WWE. If he wins the championship immediately, there's nowhere else you can go with the story. Also, you got so much more story to tell with the bloodline, man. I'm just waiting. Raw comes on in a couple hours. I'm just waiting for Roman to be like, hey, I want my match, which I do, to the Usos. So not shocking at all. I got WWE being sold, and then at the top, Vince McMahon's mustache.
All right, so Vince McMahon's mustache. We'll table that. Roddy, let me hit for you. Rated on, man. What's the word?
My number three is probably gonna be now. It's gonna be Roman winning. The way that the sale went, it makes more business sense to keep him as champion. I'm pretty sure we'll go into details with more information with that. Number two, again, WWE being sold to just first of all, them being sold with immersion with the UFC, man. I did not see that ever happening. Like I don't even know how it's gonna make sense. I guess with more and more now they're both becoming more and more mainstream, specifically UFC, man. They dominate that aspect of combat sports when it comes to mixed martial arts. I mean, they're the big dog. And just I know, UFC and WWE have been in bed together before with advertising before in earlier days. But just seeing from 1993 until now, seeing where it is, it's just crazy. It's crazy. And yeah, number one, we got to talk about that mustache, man. Like, yo, you being on CNBC with that mustache looking like Hitler. I don't know if we can even say that on here without being they look crazy, man.
Okay,
But yeah,
that
mustache.
we on the
That
feed and
mustache.
we on the feed and the channel. It's all good.
Okay.
He looked like Vicente. He's like, that's the guy that did the sexual assault stuff. That wasn't me. That was my brother, Vincent. I'm Vicente.
So I really
man.
feel like I'll give my rankings real quick. I'm going a little bit of a different thing. The sale is third for me because we knew it was getting sold at some point. Talk about the destination and what all that looks like, but the sale was number three for me. Number two was Roman, and here's why. I'll go into a little bit more depth here in a second, because that was some of the bravest storytelling that you've seen in WWE in a very, very, very long time. Like it's remarkable that they decided to do that, because under the aforementioned owner of the mustaches regime, you would not have gotten that type of shock and awe in many years, like where a guy came in and retained that way. It was always about, the season ends at WrestleMania and then we'll worry about tomorrow when tomorrow gets there. I never bought that, we done booked a year out in advance stuff. Like, nah, man. Because if you was doing that, you would realize you was booking yourself into a corner with a lot of these things. And then number one is not just the mustache, but the audacity of the mustache, the combination with the Christopher Reeve slick back, and then the what would you like, sir? Mild fire or picante taco sauce pan he had with the food. Like Vince McMahon looks like a first base coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1987 right now.
Yo, man. Hey, man, it looked like, when you go to the barbershop now, they got them fibers. Like, it looked like they sprayed them fibers all on his eyebrows, his mustache, and in his hair. Dude, like, what the hell was going on there?
He got the Carlos Boozer.
Yeah.
Hey man, this man
he got that Spanish conch in his head.
Yeah, he's definitely having a Burt Reynolds summer. That's what he's doing, man. He is Magnum PI out here in these streets.
He looked like he got a concentrated, reduced down version of Jägermeister slicked through his head, and then he had a little bit left on his finger, and he scratched his face and then had it up there. Man, he looks like, I'm telling you, dog, he looked like the V for Vendetta mask. Like he's back with a heelish turn, but he really is here to like liberate us. But it's really you still blowing up buildings and being a heel and kidnapping women and stuff, dog. Like the V for Vendetta dude was a complicated cat. He had a chick on the ground for like 7 years, and that's very Vince-like. You want to keep it up. So,
hey, ladies and gentlemen, Anonymous just sold WWE.
Right. So I don't know, man. I certainly don't intend to stop talking about this mustache for many years, but there'll be a lot more time for that. This little pencil thin joint, like hold on, man. He got that damn. I took it down too low on that side mustache, and then you gotta go back. You try to bring it up from the bottom, and then it stay there. What's up, man? Vince McMahon has been in our world since like 1981, right? Like before I was even here, Vince McMahon was a guy. You can't reinvent yourself with a new look in 2023, bro. You've been around too long.
Not when you're 70 something. You can't be busting out new looks.
I think John Cena putting the same stuff in his hair though that Vince is though. Like man, rocking with the same cat.
Yeah. And again, man, with John Cena, man, it looked like they took that 2 guard too far back in the back of his crown of his head, man. I don't know if that's that or if he balding, man. I don't know.
John looked like he'd been sleeping the same spot too often, and his hair just got spread out and got matted down in the joint. Like I don't know, man. But so there's a lot to come away from this while talking about Vince, and I want to touch on WrestleMania in a second, but I want to kind of talk about the landscape. And with this being clear, everybody, shout out to everybody who's tuning in live, checking stuff out. First of all, shout out to Daryl too. I think somebody stole the electricity in his neighborhood. Maybe Vince McMahon stole the electricity like the dude that used that little burglar that used to be on Looney Tunes that had the little sack over his shoulder. That's what Vince looked like too. Maybe he stole the electricity off the south side. But Daryl will be back in. But we're recording this. We're going live with this, a couple hours before Monday Night Raw following WrestleMania. So, I mean, anything that we're talking about, if you're listening to it later, some of these things may have revealed itself by then. Some of it might not. But starting off with that sale and what's what it looks like, a couple of months ago, obviously, there was a conversation about, the false panic, the internet paranoia about the Saudi Arabian trust bought it. But then, Endeavor, which made that leap a few years ago to grab UFC, bought it. In some regards, it makes a lot of sense being in that type of entertainment, the event entertainment brand that they're in. But man, it's really is a huge move because for Endeavor, this is the biggest property they own. The WWE dwarfs UFC. So what are y'all thoughts about, a ownership background like that acquiring WWE and what that can mean for it?
Man, I think that's a lot of where big companies are going nowadays. Like if you think about cats selling off they musical catalogs or movie rights or things of that nature, content is king. And you're going to see more and more companies buying up other smaller other companies that produce content on a regular basis. So I think that's what we're seeing there. They're both in the live entertainment business, and they're both putting on TV shows, but then also getting live gates and getting live events. So I feel like I hate this word, but the synergies are there for Endeavor, WWE, and UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Myself again, I'm shocked. Okay. So we know it's scripted, and I'm just shocked that UFC went to that depth to acquire WWE. But like you guys, just like RBS just said, I mean, content is key right now. I mean, that's what everybody's talking about with with social media and streaming services and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of intrigued to see how this is go in the future. Well, like when we have an event where it's combined, when we have a WrestleMania / fight festival that's going on, like dude, John Jones is fighting in July, and they're having International Fight Week. Is WWE going to be a part of that now? It's a good possibility that it could, So just intrigued to see what happens in the future going
You
forward.
see, I'm really interested about that because the thing that I'm curious about is that all the time in other sports, you have other, holding companies that own multiple sports and have multiple streams. I mean, you see it a lot with people that own different content and say take a Stan Kroenke, for example, who owns multiple teams in multiple areas. I'm not 100% convinced that you're going to see them cross over, really. I think you might see an easier pathway for guys to interact with it, but you've already had a lot of that. You've had Brock, you've had Daniel Cormier, who's been a part of things. You've had like these personalities that have been a part of it. But in some regards, I don't want to say it doesn't make sense to cross them over, but it still is two completely different genres of entertainment in a lot of different ways too. So it's going to be curious to see what that looks like because, a huge part of the WWE fan base is going to be kids. You know what I mean? And you're going to have a lot like that, whereas that ain't necessarily what UFC is catering itself towards or really in the space that it plays in. So I don't know. It seems like to me that what this organization has sights on is becoming one of, if not the biggest holder of different avenues of these things across the sports world, because, it wouldn't surprise me to see this group get involved in bidding for one of the 2 NBA expansion franchises that's coming up. If you could come up with this kind of money for WWE and then you start generating that revenue that WWE is going to bring right away, man, you can afford anything you want.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And I think, and also I think it goes back to, they have said that they're going to continue to operate as 2 separate entities, although the company is going to be one. So basically, they've reserved the name, the letters TKO for the stock. So they don't have a name of the WWE UFC company yet. But I think what they're really going to end up doing is managing the resources together. So they're going to take the best of WWE's live broadcasting. UFC is going to start using that. Some of their producers, some of they, shout out to music licensing. I'm trying to get down with both of y'all. Cats that are music supervisors, they're going to start sharing resources in those areas. And that's when they're really going to start seeing cost savings, efficiency, and stuff like that. So, yeah, again, I don't think they're going to do a lot of crossovers. They'll probably do little stuff like, hey, Roman Reigns is in the crowd with the bloodline or something like that. But other than that, you're not going to see, like, MMA bros and IWC wrestling fans have been at each other's necks all day. MMA bros like, oh, this means UFC going to be scripted. IWC, oh, they just did this for the money. Look, your chocolate ain't going to get in your peanut butter.
They absolutely did do this for the money. I would like to say
absolutely, 100%.
Part of why they did this. We got
but your chocolate and peanut butter are gonna be separate, bro.
I'm back in. They had a little intermittent problem. It was a little bit too big, too much Vince McMahon talk, and they decided to cut off one person's power for a minute.
Man, they doing rolling blackouts in the hood now.
Yeah,
and I hope not.
He's expanding. I thought they came down to Ray. Ray lived a couple of blocks down the street from me. I thought they had got him too.
Yeah, I ain't trying to jinx it.
They were trying to get Ray, I think, but they went a couple of blocks down too far.
They flipped the wrong switch.
Yeah.
So Daryl, I want to ask you, man, because you're a more casual observer of both of these things than three of us are. What are your thoughts in taking in, hearing about the UFC, WWE, I guess acquisition, quasi merger, however you want to look at it?
I don't know. I think it's an amazing thing to think about. This is stuff that you would like think about when you're high.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
like, man, it's like a fantasy draft. You're like, man, what would put Jordan and Magic Johnson on the same team? Man, I wonder what would happen. We finna find out what's gonna happen.
Put them on the same team for the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, what happened, Doc?
This is like all the people.
Man. This is like in Saturday Night Live, the Chicago Bears dudes, and they was like, Mike Ditka was a miniature versus the Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah. You
like 9-6.
This is so there's a lot to unpack in this. There's a lot to look at what it all means. I think it's going to be a little while before you really notice anything that happens in this space. If anything, quite honestly, what it might actually end up looking like is a bigger pipeline for like NXT.
We got a question in the crowd real quick.
What we got there?
What we got?
WWE card.
Some of the fights, as in like the UFC, putting some fights on the WWE card.
Man,
I still think those are two completely different things. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to cross-pollinate that way. I mean, because there's two completely different things. And one thing you don't want to do is if you've got a legitimate, if you will, sport like UFC that people are gambling on, that people are making real financial decisions about, you don't want to be putting that thing into a place where people know that to a certain extent, the outcome, we know where things are going. That's a dangerous precedent to set, and it can actually cost them money with partners like DraftKings and things like that.
Although WWE is getting in bed with that, but go ahead.
Yeah, and it is. And you know what? WWE being on a legitimate gambling, as a legitimate gambler myself, the WWE
just put in there. How much more gambling will we see?
Yeah, the WWE doing that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I think I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast and had Brian Gerwitz on there, and he was like, yeah, too many people know what's going to happen. Like, you can't do it unless you just like held the finish and just left it between the two wrestlers and didn't tell them until they got ready to go out. But how can they even make a match that way? Like, they said they're just, you can't do that. You can't. And so I think it's dangerous to pull the two too closely together that way.
Now, I do like what they're doing right now. Like some of the gambling they're doing right now is like, yo, how long before the Spanish announce table get broke?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the over and under on how many times?
Bets.
Yeah, prop bets. How many finishes gonna get kicked out of? But yeah, the actual finishes of the match, man, y'all going too far.
Yeah, we can't do that one. But the thing I do think is that you continue to see the WWE get deeper into NIL stuff. The WWE is opening up pipelines to bring in a lot more talent. I mean, hey, maybe a guy isn't trying to, be a mixed martial artist fighting until he's 38. If he realizes it now, hey, I work for a company where I can go and get involved in this and start training for a pro wrestling career. You never know.
That's true.
I do think about, what Ken Shamrock told me some years back when I interviewed him, that he said, man, I did more damage to myself in the time that I was a pro wrestler than I did the entire time I was in mixed martial arts.
Wow.
I used to close. My knees got shot, my back. Like, it's just, he said it was way harder on me than any fighting I ever did. So, it still takes a cut of guy to be a part of that.
Somebody said, I just hope they don't adopt the UFC.
Let's talk about that.
That's the key right there. That's the key.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So I want to hear from you boys from We Coming For You. What do y'all think about that part of it?
RBS, you already heard me talk about this ad nauseum. So I'm a UFC fan, right? And I like watching all the pay-per-views when it's a mainstream fight. I don't like how it's set up. You have to subscribe to ESPN Plus. The subscription to ESPN Plus doesn't give you the events all inclusive. You have to pay for them separately. So this is the time now we're going to go back to which they're going to be called pay-per-views now. They're not premium live events. They're going to be pay-per-views. Are we going to go back to now paying $79.99 for WrestleMania now? Plus you got to pay for a subscription. I hope they don't adopt that. I think
Hold on.
2 nights
So,
of
Ronnie, so you have to pay
$79.99.
you have to pay for ESPN Plus before you can pay for the pay-per-view?
right.
Yeah.
So you paying for ESPN Plus, that's just for you to have it. You pay the subscription, monthly subscription for that. But then any type of pay-per-view, you have to pay extra on top of that. So with how they get you is they'll say, hey, you sign up for the $89.99 or whatever, you'll get 1 month free of ESPN Plus, and then you get the pay-per-view. But the next pay-per-view that they're gonna have, you're gonna have to come out of your pocket for that. So I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Exactly. I'm not a big fan of that. But it's going to be interesting to see. To me, because their pay per view models are so much different. Like hell, that's how the majority of the talent. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how they get their paychecks for the most part is from their premium live event sales. So I wonder how that structure is going to change.
Now, actually, though, the talent actually came off better when there was a pay-per-view model. So they actually lost money when all the pay-per-views went to streaming because it was if you were on the pay-per-view, depending on where you were in the card, you got a cut of whatever that pay-per-view money was. So for the talent, it's actually better. Now, with that being said, I ain't paying for no pay-per-view every month from WWE on top of Peacock. Look, I like the shows on Peacock. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna stick to my $4.99 and I'm just gonna go to Mania at that point. We're just gonna keep going to Mania from now on. I'm not paying for no pay-per-view.
Two nights? No.
Damn, somebody said Brock Lesnar gonna hold a belt in both companies.
I'm gonna tell you which one he not gonna hold no belt in.
Yeah, me too. Because if you go there,
hold on though, because Brock Lesnar is the cat that take world championships from all the black dudes. Who the world champion right now?
Oh, for John Jones.
I'm just saying, Brock might be coming for John Jones.
John Jones gonna knock his ass out, man.
That ain't what you want, Brock.
No, it's not. It's not, man.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, so talking about that pay-per-view model, though, I do think that that's interesting because, I mean, ever since the WWE Network came out, that was the big draw for the WWE Network was you get all the pay-per-views, you get all the back library, like, all that's cool, but it definitely was about the pay-per-view savings, and what that looked like, and having Peacock right now, that really drives for that. I think it still behooves Endeavor to make sure that they keep a partnership for that streaming. ESPN rights with UFC are actually coming up soon too. That's a whole other negotiation standpoint you could be looking at about how that's going to play out. And if ESPN now looks and says, "Oh man, we got to do that," the other wild card in that is that now you have Bob Iger back over Disney, who owns ESPN, who is very aggressive in saying that, hey, we're going to slow down a little bit on some of these things that we're doing. He slowed down the MCU. He stopped production on a lot of shows on Disney+. I think he's more interested in strategic partnerships than he is about the mass level of it. So it would be interesting to see what it means for Endeavor to come to the table with ESPN and potentially have that piece of conversation and about how that could play out with it. I tell you what, if I'm Peacock, if I'm any of those Hulu, all those different things like that hold various properties for that right now, man, that's going to be a really interesting thing to see how those conversations come to the table and what that could mean. Because who knows? At this point, it would be really hard for me to imagine them coming in and saying that every month or whatever, you got to start paying $50 a month for a pay-per-view after taking that away. And it's been like a whole generation since that's been the case.
Right. Well, I definitely see them. The subscription rate's going to go up now. I mean, you getting 2 for 1. I can see them tying them both together. I'll be shocked if they keep them separate. And if they do, maybe they'll have a deal where they take $2 or $3 off if you want to get both. Who knows? Like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's a lot of things to tie up and a lot of business models that they're going to have to come together to try to figure out, what's the best way to do this.
Well, UFC definitely drives their revenue through those pay-per-view matches, what they get with that. They're doing, I mean, I can't see one abandon it from the other, but it would be really weird for one company to allow one thing to operate one way and the other to not. So something's going to have to give, even if it ends up being another hosted streaming thing, which will TKO Plus or whatever, it looks like that. And that's what it is. And that's where it's at. So who knows? But I don't know. We'll see how all that comes together over time and how it goes. But real quick, man. Last night, sale aside, this morning was kind of in my mind a dividing point in the way that WWE as a kayfabe, as an on-screen product, went too. Because this weekend you had one day that was very much one thing, and another day was very much the other. And I just have to think that Triple H, whom, by the way, we didn't talk about him in the big picture of this. There's no way they can move forward without him being a part of this, though. Not after the product he's put out, not at what it looks like. But I did see that Vince said he's going to be more heavily involved in creative again now.
Absolutely.
Just not in the weeds, but he's going to be doing, overall.
Yeah. So who knows what that means exactly? I think you got to wait for some people to leak out what that looks like. But
well, to the point about Triple H, actually, so he, along with I think Nick Khan and there's a couple other people that actually get a bonus if this whole deal is closed by 2024. So for the foreseeable future, Triple H is in it, and he has money riding on this whole thing going through. Now, post 2024, we don't know what that looks like, so we'll see.
I think Triple H is actually raising the value of the product because that WrestleMania was phenomenal, I think, in the context of what it was. So give me some WrestleMania takeaways, man. I mean, we can get on some key points. Before we get into this, I do want to let y'all know that there is going to be a dedicated episode coming up. We coming for you, Cass. That's going to give you all the parts that you used to seeing from the boys here. We wanted to get in on here and touch on it real quick on sports scenarios.
There's still Bow Wow residue still out there in these streets.
Well, we haven't forgot about Bow Wow, even if AEW has. But real quick, my WrestleMania takeaway overall, man, just Matt, like you said, night one was amazing. It was I left night one feeling like I had probably seen the best Mania that I had seen since 17. Well, speaking of firing his whole family, my takeaway from night two is that Shane McMahon shouldn't be taking his old ass in there trying to do basically talk about tackle drop down.
Speaking of firing his whole family, is Roman Reigns gonna fire his whole family tonight?
It's possible. It's a
possibility.
Yeah, I mean that's going back to the story of the bloodline. You got a lot of story left, and Roman can't lose the belt until the bloodline gone. And there's also more bloodline cats that ain't even
exactly.
Got a lot of story to tell.
And there's one member of the bloodline that Roman has to see. He has to see this guy, and so before he can call himself the GOAT. He has to see him.
Rikishi, right?
No, I'm talking about Rock. He gotta see Rock. He gotta see Rock before he calls himself the greatest of all time. They're gonna pull that trigger one day.
We're throwing that word around way too much, like in the main thoroughfare right now. Like they're saying it on camera about Cena now, and I'm like, this dude's maybe like top 5, maybe I've seen, maybe like let alone of all time. Like let's chill out a little bit here. But,
and we also gotta remember, I'm starting to realize people didn't know Tony Yayo came up with You Can't See Me. People didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah, people.
That's a trending topic right now. That's seriously a trending topic.
Tony Yayo was he was too humble with it. Like he did it in the So Seductive video and just kind of like did it in passing. But Cena, he made it a hotline. Cena made it a hot song.
Right.
That's right. Like hold on, we gonna save You Can't See Me gate for a little bit later. Cena is argued. It can be argued to say that Cena's taunt had a bigger weekend than John Cena.
It did.
That's kind of how it is.
So at this point, going back to your question, Matt, about the bloodline, and does he have to go see The Rock at one of his movie studios to slap him and like have somebody like record it, like to just get it going? Like
if
just
I'm Roman Reigns, The Rock got to come see me. I'm not moving my feet to go see him. There's no way that you go and spark something up with The Rock. Why? He's got no reason to go and seek it. It's like he riding high right now in the hood while the OG in jail or the OG not paying attention. Like he out there, he like, these my streets now. You know what I'm saying?
J Dub Boston says, with the money generated from Bloodline Story, can you really take a risk putting the belt on Cody when you have the potential sale going? When you have a frontline star like Roman doing numbers?
No, you can't. That's what me and RBS was talking about. Like they made the right move when they kept Roman as champion. He is box office right now, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you looked at their metrics as far as merch, ticket sales, all of that stuff, it's all attached to him. So he's definitely got merit in what he's saying about, I am WWE. Like, you're going to see him. You're going to see in his family. They are. This is and another thing that we talked about last night. This was something that was in the books for WWE to do for years. They've been trying to get Roman to be in this spot that he's in right now for the last, maybe 6 or 7 years, and they got it now. You think they're about to just throw that away all of a sudden? Hell no, they're not doing that. They're not doing it.
No, especially because they have to tell the story of building Cody Rhodes up. Like, you can't. You can't cash in on Cody Rhodes within that first year. You have to have him take that first loss and really build him up as that white meat baby face. Like, by the time he comes back, that's when it's going to be red hot.
Now, Ray, you've said that you've been standing on that, and I like that outlook. Is this a story pivot, or was this the story the whole time? Because if Cody doesn't get hurt last year, does Cody walk away as champion last night?
So I think it's the story the whole time. One, because Triple H is just a little bit petty, and he's like, I remember when you smashed that throne in AEW. I ain't forgot. You're gonna come back down just a little bit before I build you back up. So I think it was the story the whole time.
Doesn't this sound a lot like a story that was around Triple H back in the day? Maybe you had to be brought down to earth before you could take. Okay, all right.
He's the same guy, man. He's the same guy. We all love him. We love him, but he's the same guy. Yeah. And I love him for that.
That's my guy.
Is that when he had to sit behind Austin with the Intercontinental belt while Austin had the main belt?
No, I'm talking about King of the Ring. I'm talking about the Madison. I'm talking about Madison Square Garden. I'm talking about King of the Ring. I'm talking about when Triple H's career got reset because he was the only guy that could take it.
Yep.
You can't punish people that don't work for you. And you can't impact the champ, but you can't impact the only cat that has something to lose out there. And the cat that probably made out the best that night was X-Pac, but I mean that's a whole nother story.
X-Pac is a whole other podcast.
So that's an interesting. But the thing I've been watching here has been the reaction that people have had to how the match turned out last night. I said wow. Not because of the fact that I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Oh, I'm disappointed. I was like, I can't believe they had the heart to do it. Because when you look back, I look back at my WrestleMania main events, and I look back down, and that's always the spot where the face goes over. But y'all talked about it, and I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, it doesn't do any good for any part of this thing for Cody Rhodes to be the champion right now. What are you going to do with these two belts? Who's Cody going to feud with that's going to keep him high? Are you going to make a guy 1 year into that's back in the business that's really taken off in a completely different way? Like he's taken off in the way that he tried to take off of AEW back with WWE. It didn't happen. It happened here. But once he gets it, he's such a white meat baby face. I mean, that entrance last night, he kissed children, gave away sentimental belts. He was out in the crowd. He had the whole walk. He had the Homelander fit on. He had the whole joint going on. And I was like, yo, is this 1993? Like nobody that's like this gets over. But here's the thing. People complaining nonstop about, man, I wanted Cody to win. I want this. I want a working champ. I want this and that. I said, I bet you didn't like John Cena when he won every time that he was supposed to. I bet you if you look back, you would get bored of Hulk Hogan winning every WrestleMania. And I bet you didn't realize. I remember we went to Raw after Daniel Bryan won. People was turned up, but that story had nowhere to go but down.
Who did Daniel Bryan fight?
But that story would have been terrible.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan fought Kane in his first defense after the Yes Move. Kane wasn't even the main eventer.
So if you took Cody Rhodes right now, let's say Cody won last night. He comes out on Raw tonight. Roman's gone. Because once Roman drops a belt, Roman's out. Yeah. Roman's turning into Brock Lesnar after he drops that belt. Believe that.
Oh yeah.
But what do you do? What do you do that picks it up? Gunther? That's all you got right now. That's your guy. That's your guy right now. Gunther is awesome. But Gunther is also the best placed dude in that business right now, as far as
Yes.
he needs to have what?
Yep.
Him and Bianca are the two best placed people in that thing. Because here's the thing. You can't have that situation with Cody and then have that same situation happening with Sammy and Kevin that's about to happen right now.
Right.
Sammy and Kevin at the peak. There's nowhere else to go but down from here. Yep. Like last night was maybe they'll do like a 6-man tag in Puerto Rico or something with Cody Rhodes against the Bloodline or something like that. But that's it. Like, people don't realize how good for business Roman Reigns actually is.
Yeah, and people don't realize that they were
everybody else's segment there, but I had to get that off.
Oh no, you're good, because I was just gonna say, man, people are mad that Roman Reigns won, and guess what? That's what you're supposed to be. Roman's a heel. He cheated to win. The whole bloodline helped him win. You supposed to be mad. That's it. They got you. You ain't that smart, bro.
What's the last WrestleMania main event that we had that we got this outcome in? Was it Miz? Was it Miz over Cena?
Ooh.
I think so.
Yeah, I would have to say so. Because even the last couple Manias, Roman has been a heel still, but it was still just like everybody was like, he gonna win.
I mean, like him versus Brock last year was a break even.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, then you get into like the pandemic era and all that type of stuff. Like, hey, it takes heart. It takes Triple H, who was a heel on top of the game, to say, no, we're putting the heel over tonight. And it takes a lot of courage for that to be the outcome, because I'm going to be honest. I just resigned myself to the fact that Cody was going to win, because that's what Vince McMahon had conditioned me to expect to happen in wrestling. Is that it's going to come back. That him not winning last night made me more interested in pro wrestling.
Bingo. There it is.
Exactly.
There it is. Why am I gonna give you the steak now? What, I still ain't served you the salad and the roll yet. Like, no, we ain't got you guys got the roll with the honey butter. I ain't got you this crisp salad yet. The steak coming, but that steak coming 2 years later on. We gonna let this marinate. We gotta let this marinate.
So I mean, I'm at the point right now where I'm not counting I dates anymore to when Roman gonna lose. Roman gonna lose when it's time for Roman to lose. If I had to fantasy book it, RBS, I agree with you. SummerSlam makes a lot more sense. Cody got to go through some stuff, though. Cody needs to go through exactly what Seth Rollins went through at his hands at the beginning of the last year. Cody needs to lose again next at whatever his next feud is. Cody needs to get down in the mud, because he ain't got it through the mud the way that it looks right now. And what you did in AEW and all of that, hey man, that's cool. We get it. You travel the world, you did that. But this has got to it's got to happen in the continuity that you in, though, too.
Right.
Somebody has some stuff for Gunther has been booked strong. You would think a match with him and Roman in the cards, but he's not a name.
Yeah, but I still think that's gonna happen in the upcoming future. Like, this dude has totally transformed his body, his ring, his work rate. I mean, like, you want to talk about strong style, man. This dude, the match he had with McIntyre and Sheamus last night, man, they beat the hell out of each other. Like,
now, I want to shout out to everybody in the we running numbers now in the chat now and everything. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Week Coming For You Wrestling Cast. They on it now.
Let me answer that question. Daryl, before we go to the next question, though, let me answer that one, because we didn't really
go ahead.
Answer that one. The way I see how that happens, Roman and Gunther, it will be a great match. It can't happen now, though. They're on the same side. Like, I'm not rooting for either one of those guys. You've done all this work to get Roman over as a mega heel, because he is becoming the cool heel. He is becoming the cool heel. Everybody got their ones up. You still got a lot of that out there. He is becoming the cool heel. He got to keep healing up. But then every heel turns. Gunther is never going to be a face, ever.
Right.
Can't be.
Right.
It's not who he is. But he don't even have that switch like Sheamus got, where he can go and be whatever you need him to go be, or even Drew McIntyre, who I hope turns heel coming out of this as well. That's a different But I don't think that Roman and Gunther and Roman would be a great match without a doubt, but I don't think it makes sense to put them with each other. If anything is waiting for Gunther right now, I need Gunther to get lined up for one of these big international pay-per-views that they got coming up against Brock Lesnar.
Right.
But Gunther, you don't want Gunther to lose though either. So it's kind of how you work that out.
Exactly.
So we got a question here. I don't know if y'all listen to Bust Open Radio, but Bully Ray asked an interesting question. All people were, man, how would Dusty have booked the finish?
That's a good question.
Dusty
Well,
and Triple H got some similarities in how they go to the table with the booking. I mean,
yeah. The funny answer is
they saving Gunther for Cody.
Well, that's what
that's a
I
good
can
one.
see that.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
Now the funny answer to how Dusty would have booked the finishes, he would have booked a false win for Cody that got overturned, and then Roman wins. But the literal Dusty finish.
The Dusty finish, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that I thought some people were saying that could be that could have been in the cards, that could have been what happened last night. That would have been a little too cheesy for me though.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about what happened with the match. I thought the match itself was fantastic though. I mean, here's the thing that you can't say about Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has put out bangers of matches repeatedly. Yeah. When's the last time that Roman had a dud of a match when he got
Can't remember.
Can't remember. You talk about top guys, like Roman has entered that top guy chat like at a level that there's only probably about 5 or 6 names that you mentioned with him. I'm gonna tell you what, and you say what you will about it. Roman Reigns' in-ring performance as champion is like Bret Hart with a buzz. He has and it's a buzz. Hitman didn't always have all the buzz. You knew it was going to be a great match. He's Hitman with a buzz. It's not Shawn Michaels. Oh my God, this dude's so amazing. I can't imagine what I'm seeing here. But it's also not John Cena. I'm going to overcome whatever. As far as a heel champion, with the exception of maybe Ric Flair, Roman Reigns is the greatest heel champion of all time.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there.
He's up there. He's definitely up there.
And you really only have Flair. You have Flair, maybe Triple H, but I think he above Triple H right now. But those are the two you got to compare him with.
You think Roman Reigns is now above Triple H all time?
I think so. As far as a heel champion. I'm gonna say so.
I don't know. I don't think I can say that yet. I don't think I can say that yet.
Let's do the scorecard. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now. I really wish that Triple H's ticker was in good shape because the story you could tell about this version of Roman with a Triple H in the ring would be incredible. Both of them have had 2 incredible stables now.
Yep.
Both of them have had runs as heel and face champions. And both of them got to that point where they was just the cool ass dude who's just like that's tough. That's really tough.
And Paul Heyman mentioned this in the press conference after that, talking about the murderous row of cats that Roman has beat. And that's why I might have to put him slightly over Triple H. Triple H has had some cats too. He retired Foley. He had he lost against Taker basically every time he fought. But you
not
know,
Roman.
Not Roman. You know what I'm saying? We talk about quality. When we talk about quality of opponent, man, Roman might be up there over Triple H.
But one of the caveats I would throw into that, which Roman hasn't done yet, and I'm not saying that he couldn't because he most likely could, but there was Triple H took cats under his wing that actually propelled in their career. You had Batista and you had Orton. When they were with Evolution, man, when they got out and got in their own world champions, they're world champions, bona fide Hall of Famers. For me, if I see Roman do that, build someone up who needs to go, like, I'm gonna say it because he's my guy. If he built up like an LA Knight came to the bloodline for somehow, some way, and he got built up to do his own thing, and then they clash. I would like to see something
do
like
that
that
with Sammy, or is it to be seen if that happens?
You got a point. Okay.
Put the rub on Sami Zayn and say, "Hey, man, you got it." If I would have told you 2 years ago, that Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn in the main event was going to be on a level
I wouldn't believe you.
Hitman versus CM Punk versus John Cena level buzz, you would have been like, I don't know, we didn't have enough fun now, but like Sammy was like
put the drink down. Put the drink down, man.
Johnny Knoxville in a gimmick match at Mania last year, and now he was in the main event of WrestleMania this year. All because he got next to Roman.
Yep.
That's true.
Relevancy is a real thing, man.
Listen, man, I know that y'all got moves to make, y'all got things to go. We got an episode of We Coming For You. It's gonna be coming up.
Yeah, make sure y'all go subscribe. We coming for you, Wrestling Cast everywhere. Get on that. I just can't imagine Bow Wow is on there. He's a subscriber now.
That is unbelievable.
You can look at it. He leaves his subscriptions open, and you can see that he is a subscriber to We Coming for You Can.
Before we let y'all go, I know we talked a lot about the main event. We talked a lot about there. Outside of Roman and Cody from this weekend, what was your big takeaway moment from WrestleMania?
I'll go first, man. Just seeing Mania for me, and being able. My first Mania that I went to was in Atlanta, and that was just seeing it in person. It was just, I've been to wrestling events here in St. Louis. I've been to a Raw in Minneapolis. I've been to a Raw in Chicago, Milwaukee, Kansas City. There's nothing like actually being at a Mania and just seeing it at its full spectrum.
Somebody got some smoke.
Oh, we got a question here. Okay.
Let him finish. Let him
finish. Just seeing Mania back at its full spectacle, seeing it get up to the 80K of fans inside of a brand new stadium, and just seeing the fans erupt with different things that happened throughout the event. Just seeing Mania back to being full-fledged Mania. It was something like everybody, all the announcers said it. It was something special and different about Mania this year, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was thinking it was just the overall aspect of it, and it being as a spectacle and at what it is. It truly seemed like a WrestleMania.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that, man. And just for the amount of work that everybody put in to Mania, even Snoop came out and dropped a impromptu people's elbow but I think that's what the event brought out of people. It was just it was a dope event. Everybody wanted to contribute, and everybody delivered in whatever they had to do, man. And that was my biggest takeaway.
I'm gonna answer this question real quick. Hollywood Hogan was in WCW. I'm talking about WWE. I'd have to go in the NWA. I'd have to do a lot of other stuff like that. Hollywood Hogan was one of the greatest pivots of all time. But I'm gonna tell you what, Roman as a face wasn't on Hogan's level. It was nowhere close to it. He was force fed. But Roman as a heel right now, at that that Kevin Owens moment, I put that up there with damn near any Hollywood Hogan moment when they had it. And there's still a lot more tread on the tire should Roman try to do it. But I'm talking WWE. I don't do cross continuity comparisons and stuff like that. So, but hey, man, I appreciate y'all making time. Hey, Raw's gonna be something tonight. Hell, SmackDown's gonna be something. We don't know what we're gonna end up getting and what all it looks like with that. But I appreciate y'all joining in here, man. And hey, we speaking of, you can't see me. We gonna keep the show rocking. We got some things we gotta talk about on that side, but man, we appreciate you boys. We looking forward to what y'all got coming up next.
Hey, appreciate y'all having us, man.
Appreciate y'all.
Make sure y'all go subscribe to We Coming for You Cast.
That's
that
right.
part. Shout out to all the new subscribers, man. Y'all doing y'all thing, man.
Hey, y'all keep coming. This is the only show that continues to grab subscribers, even though they don't have to do shows, man. That's power. That's power.
We got it. NWO story changed the business. They still talking about.
I think you're arguing with yourself, bro. I'm not talking about that. I'm not saying that none of that didn't happen. I'm not saying that none of that didn't happen. I said I'm just talking about WWF and WWE.
J-Dog, you go. J-Dog, like you won't answer my damn question. No,
Keep going.
You're going to acknowledge Hulk Hogan.
I was alive in 1997. My guy was there. I definitely know. Hogan was on point. Hollywood Hogan's turn might be the greatest storyline in wrestling history, but it happened in WCW. So Vince ain't have his hands on that. I'm talking about things that Vince done had something to do with. So,
That's true.
All right, man. We let y'all boys go, man. We appreciate it. Hey, Daryl.
All right, y'all.
Keep it rocking, man. Let's talk a little bit about what do we got here? How do we categorize this?
We got to go to Angel Reese, man.
That's what I'm saying. How do we categorize this? It's like the Sha'Carri Richardson sequel is in play now. Standing up, fighting for the hood.
Yeah, I don't know. In the face of all other things. You have a great a white woman heel involved with this. Sha'Carri was just fighting against the system. You have a straight white heel you are fighting directly against here.
So the heel turn for Caitlin Clark, I had set it up. So Caitlin Clark and I can't
her
believe
heel turn was a long time ago. People just ain't never tripped off of it.
First of all, I can't believe that we're doing second main event talking about the women's Final Four. That's That's a storyline that I didn't see being something that was ever going to lead the show here. But hey, I'm equal opportunity if it's got some bite to it. Caitlin Clark went on a tear the last couple of weeks and absolutely ripped in half college basketball. Had people paying attention to it in a way that didn't make sense at all. Like, she's been getting busy for a couple of years now, to your point. People just getting used to it. But I think people wasn't used to the fact that she also would heel up on the court and would be talking shit in a way that you would not expect somebody named Caitlin Clark from Iowa.
She's been doing that, though. I mean, I went to Iowa State. I know she's been doing that.
She's been doing it. But meanwhile, on the other side of the tracks, you've had this LSU team and you had South Carolina team that just the dominant powerhouse in it. Her taking them down was incredible. You had this LSU team who's definitely for the culture that is, has had a great tournament run.
I think South Carolina would have been way more for the culture. That final, do you know how? Even the Caitlin Clark versus LSU was great for TV watching, but for like the culture, it would have been us 15% of the
my
nation.
God, it would have been incredible.
But
if that would have happened, we wouldn't have had this. This
would have never happened.
This extraordinarily awkward culture debate that I think is happening. This is what I'm gonna call a bless your heart debate, because people are coming into something they don't know the front half of and getting really angry about it, like it's marginalization. And Angel Reese has been saying that all year. She's been like, because I'm like this, you don't accept me, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and that some of that is true. But I think in the context of saying that, the big debate came from Caitlin Clark using the "you can't see me," taunting people on the other team, refusing to guard the girl on South Carolina because she was like, she ain't going to shoot it. And then saying that, it was celebrated when it was her, but now it's a problem when Angel Reese does it. That's not what, and I think that's burying the lead. That's not what's happening here. But people have started talking about what they think other people are doing instead of what's actually happening. So let's go back in time. Because I think I've seen this episode before. This feels like a reboot to me. This feels like when a white dude that played for the Indiana State Sycamores made a run.
This is exactly it, isn't it? Not? Is it not?
It sounds like a white dude in 1979 that plays for Indiana State Sycamores made a run to the national championship game and ran into a flavorful black dude that played for the Michigan State Spartans. And then he came up short, but in the long run, the entire sport elevated for it. And we still have people.
Good call out, man. Good call out.
We still have, and I'm talking about Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson when it kicked off in college. And it took off and it became the defining and still the most important rivalry in the history of sports. The most important rivalry in the history of sports, because without both of them going into the NBA and having the fanfare they had in college, the NBA is not what it is today. I don't care who came through. It's not. You had incredibly exciting players before Magic Johnson and before Larry Bird. And then those 25 or so years before that point in the NBA, it was all right. People watched. It was good. It was high quality basketball, but it wasn't the cultural phenomenon that came after that rivalry happened. And that rivalry took off because of race. It took off because of race. One dude went to Boston, one went to LA, and it kept on rolling. And now you still got a whole generation of brothers who refuse to interact with the Boston Celtics. In this very city of St. Louis, Missouri, who look at Jason Tatum, the greatest basketball player in the history of the city, and they say, I can't root for him all like that, though, because he played for the Celtics.
Dude, you talking about Nate? There's not just, this is, I don't know if any other team is racially disliked besides by black people as much as black people dislike the Boston Celtics.
So it's the Boston Celtics and Notre Dame. Those are the top two.
Or Duke. Or is it Duke?
There's a lot of brothers that like Duke. And
Duke kind of changed the corner a little bit when they started getting a lot more brothers. If this was pre-96, then we could say it was Duke.
I could go with that. But if it's pre-96, Duke also wouldn't have the prestige it's got now because Duke really took off in like a couple years before that. So it's hard. Yeah. Notre Dame got long legacy of nah. Anything that's got the Irish in it, black dudes would be like,
that's it.
Man,
so Boston's got the Celtics, the Irish with the Shamrock.
I mean, even a brother as staunch as Bill Russell, but Bill Russell was like, man, I don't go back there. They couldn't even get Bill Russell to come back. So, like, that's the whole thing. But when I look at this, listen, I hear what people saying. I get it. I get the identity politics. I get all of that. I also, in my opinion, I'm seeing a lot of projection in this too. I'm seeing a lot of people projecting how they feel about way bigger topics onto this situation right here. And in my mind, being an ex-athlete, being somebody who has covered sports for the majority of my adult life, I just see two people competing with each other and going after. What I don't see is that Caitlin Clark, when she looked at Haley Van Lee and looked at her and told her to shut up, you down by 15 points. She talking to white girls, and nobody talks more trash than her. But we've been here though.
Yeah, but this is good for women's basketball. I don't care what nobody says, because next year they got to have LSU versus Iowa in the first in the non-con.
Bruh, Caitlin Clark's got 2 more years of eligibility. She's making like millions and millions of dollars on the NIL right now. She should stay in college as long as she can. College women's basketball is pro basketball. This is pro basketball. More people are going to watch the women's Final Four in these games next year because of her than they're going to watch the WNBA. It's just facts. It just is what it is. Like, Brittany Griner went through everything she went through to get back over here and stuff like that, and that buzz has already died down. Like, people just, the WNBA don't move numbers like it does on this other side. But
do you think that this could be do you think this will be? I mean, I guess that's a hyperbolic question. Is what I'm saying. Do you think this can help kick off more love for women's basketball and expand into the WNBA?
So here's the thing that's got to happen.
With your analogy, I'm saying that your analogy took the NBA to the next level. Those two men literally took the NBA to the next level.
Yeah, exactly.
From that point, from that game to the up forward. Because didn't beat Michigan State in the non-con earlier that season or something too?
Yes. So here's what it would take for this to happen. Is that number one, Angel Reese has got to go to the WNBA and be a star. Like, she's got to go to the WNBA and be a star. And Caitlin Clark's got to go to the WNBA and be a star. If we're talking about if it's going to pick up women's sports in general, like have the same impact that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird had on college on professional basketball, they had to deliver at the next level, and people's interest had to follow it. So it was there already. But you also have a high level of talent right now just in college basketball in general. So, you had Haley Van Lee that was at Louisville. You had the twins at Miami that are doing numbers in the social media space and stuff like that. Like, that's another place that you can mobilize if they can hang professionally. The best player outside of maybe Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is Paige Beckers, and she's been hurt this year. And that she's gonna come back next year. Like, you got a big surge of talent coming to the WNBA right now, but it's going to really take it. Sometimes it takes a defining rivalry that then transcends too. I would love for this whole hoopla we got about the "you can't see me" gate, or the "it's okay when they do it but not us," or hey, people don't like people that look like me but they rock with people that look like them. Like, hey, I'm cool with all that if it ends up generating dollars. Because after that, we getting into identity politics that can or cannot, may not be true. You know what I'm saying? Every
sports industry has been built and took it to the next level off a race. If you look at like big trending situations where they went up to the next level, where it was like, oh, it's all this. Then it was like, oh, okay, everybody's kind of cool again. And then it's like, oh,
nothing generates dollars and interest in America like race. Nothing. Race politics makes it go. That's the easiest way to get through it. If you want to get something mobilized, have a white dude that white people get behind and a black dude that black people get behind and put them against each other. I just watched Rocky 3 yesterday. That's how it is. You got everybody that was cheering for Clubber Lang. He was the big villain. Rocky was the hero. You go back before that, you had Apollo Creed. He's the man. Rocky's the scrappy underdog. You got all these things that's happening. Man, that's what it's all about. That's just it. Like, I'd love to see two brothers in the Super Bowl playing against each other this year. But, man, throw another white dude in there, too. You're going to get people that care in a way that they don't care. People don't like whole sports because they think that they not identify with their color. Think about old girl that was on there talking about soccer, and you had to let her know what was up. Like, she didn't like an entire sport because she thought that it was a white sport. But that also goes back to the point that I've made in the past that y'all that don't watch sports don't know shit about sports. You just come in at the last second and throw stuff from other areas into the mix that ain't it. Caitlin Clark talked bad to white girls. She talked bad to black girls. Don't be mad at Caitlin Clark.
Shit talker in college basketball, period.
Don't be mad at Caitlin Clark for being who she is. When she ain't discriminating with the shit that she talking.
No,
That's everybody else. And really, in this case, this is a situation of the black card being played, and somebody had an extra joker in their deck, and now you got to look and see if they reneged playing it. Because Angel Reese could have been talking about any black girl. This could have just been a light skin versus dark skin debate as easy as it is a white versus black.
So we shout out to our man J Dog. He said, "Give me one dog brother that went to Duke." I would like
Sheldon Williams,
the slumlord himself.
that slumlord.
I was not going to use him, but mine is not as good as that answer.
I don't know, man. It depends on what we defining. It depends on what we defining it as. Like that. I get the gist of what you're saying, my brother, but it really depends on what we defining it as. Like, are we talking about like?
If we're gonna go the other way, it's got to be
like
Jason
if Corliss Williamson played for Duke or something like that, or like.
No, I'm gonna go the other way. Dante Jones would be mine. I like to add in here is if you're talking about the other way, like a real brother, is Dante Jones. Now, the only thing about that is he was a transfer, and his best friend is Jason Williams.
What about Corey Maggette?
And that's how we got the Duke from Rutgers.
What about Corey Maggette? He from the
Corey
shop?
Maggette he's a tricky one because he went to Fenwick.
That's true.
Dante Jones went to Billy Patterson.
Here's the thing. Jason Tatum would have went to U City though, but he was too good to go there. So
That's
like
true.
some of these cats,
also
like
Sean Dockery went to Julian in Southside Chicago before Duke.
Chris Duhon is from Slidell, Louisiana.
Oh shit!
And I'm sure I said that wrong too. But
look.
Yeah, no, but hey, trust me, I'm not gonna sit on here and defend Duke. I'm with you, J Dog. I absolutely understand what you're saying, though, bro. I absolutely do. We can throw a little Kansas in there too if you want to, but they have some Kansas that, you know, they have some Kansas.
Go back to Notre Dame too, right? We can just throw Notre Dame.
We
back
can just
in
continue
too,
to
right?
always go back to Notre Dame. But my point that I'm making about this entire thing is that I think that we missing the mark here. I think that that what the real issue here about it is that that if you look at Iowa and you look at this and you look at all that, you look at this team that played South Carolina, all white versus all black. It looked like Kentucky versus Texas Western or whatever it is like that. But that girl plays real black, Caitlin Clark, real black.
Oh, yeah.
Like you sit there and you look at Steph Curry. You can't say that she's Steph Curry that talks shit, basically.
Yeah, dude, she was coming up straight past half court, just pulling up. Like, and not waiting for her teammates to come down, nobody under the boards, just say, I'm pulling up.
But here's the thing. Everybody was loving her like 2 days ago. And then everybody else entered the chat and was like, nuh-uh, not this white girl. And it's like, yo, we've been vibing with her. Like,
we've been messing with CC.
Multiple years. Like, what are y'all doing, man? Like, hey, listen, I'm going to say this. Stop coming and ruining good stuff with your opinions that belong on reality TV. I ain't having it. You're not finna come muddy sports up that way.
Also, there is a caveat to this that University of Iowa is one of the most sensitive fan bases in the nation as well, and there's a lot of salt in there with that. And they protect Caitlin Clark a lot, and they protect a lot of their players. And there's a very, very if people know my rival is University of Iowa, there's a big difference between the players that go to Iowa State and the ones that go to Iowa. And the ones that go to Iowa State temporarily, I mean, most of the time, have the black Oakland Raiders jerseys on, and the ones that typically go to University of Iowa in general have the away Oakland Raiders jerseys on.
Oh, no.
And that's how it's been for the last 30 years. They call, all the Iowa State players, what I'm saying, the guys that do it the wrong way, thug you, transfer you, all those different things. So this is nothing new to see them get mad about these sisters out there doing their thing. I knew this was going to happen.
This was a phenomenal women's tournament. I got everything I wanted.
It's better than the men's tournament.
You had an incredible, and that's saying a lot because the men's tournament's been awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, but I'm saying, think about it.
It's been better. And for me to turn on social media yesterday real quick to see how many people was tuned into it, I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, this is dope. So what I do hope.
Quick question before you go. I was thinking about asking you. Do you think this is the most highly rated women's national championship game? Probably.
Oh, I think without a doubt. I mean, the game South Carolina game outdid NBA levels on ESPN. It outdrew any ESPN game all year. Like, I think without a doubt, this might be the most viewed women's tournament of all time. I can't even imagine how it's not.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
So yeah, you hope that turns a corner, but like you said, all we need is a little good old fashioned race rivalry, and we can get anything going. But what I don't want to have come out of it is people start treating Caitlin Clark like she's the problem, because she's not. It's
Angel Reese either.
Yeah, it's not. Nobody's mad at her. Like, Angel, she got her thing. She got her thing is to be motivated by other people's assessments of her opinion or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. I mean, for me, it just kind of looks like a lot of $200 debates on the internet. Like, oh, y'all don't like dark-skinned girls? Like, no, I mean, ain't nobody said that. You said that. You said it, so now other people believe in it, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like I got to pick a side in this one, and I'm not. I think both of them is dope, and they both got their own lanes.
Second, third game of the year, I'm doing Iowa versus LSU, like on Saturday at 7:00.
Yeah, like
October.
Like, I'm just like, all I'm saying is that I'm this ain't a situation, in my opinion, where you got to pick a side, because this should be an example of a high tide raising all ships. But just play the card. If you feel like you need to play the card, man, it's your card to play. But man,
and a lot of people that didn't watch women's basketball before this, for real. So
a lot of people don't watch sports, or the people that always come into sports with the heaviest opinions.
That's not even just women's basketball. That's general.
Remember all these people that stopped watching the NFL when Kaepernick got banned, but wasn't watching it beforehand anyway. So just remember that. You gotta.
Or people that said that soccer wasn't gonna, do anything. That wouldn't mean nothing.
Now before we go, I got one question for you though.
Yep.
In the sports verse here, because it's been real interesting to see what happens. Man, we got a lot of young brothers that's getting ready to come out in the NFL draft this year. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be awesome to see how that goes out. But you still got probably the best quarterback that's out there available is Lamar Jackson. And, how this whole thing is going. And people have brought this up, and I find it to be kind of an interesting topic. Do you think that Lamar Jackson's issues this offseason have come more from how he's approached it, his style of play, or is it truly being a blackball situation with owners in the league?
I think he's being blackballed not because of racially. Before people go there, I think it's because he's been circumventing the system with his mom being his agent.
Well, I mean, but he's his own now,
right? But I'm talking about just that whole thing of not having an agent. I'm kind of doing it on my own. Like, I'm circumventing the normal process that goes on, and I'm just betting on myself. Like, if you want to get me, come call me.
So do you think it's not just the owners, it's the whole system that's backing out on him?
Oh yeah, and the problem is I think they're going to get it caught up with it potentially if no one picks him up and there's not a real reason why he's not being picked up. Collusion is going to be a very, very good thing to get approved.
My issue with collusion and like the textbook version of collusion is he's not a free agent. He's got a job. So it's not that he doesn't have a job. The Ravens extended the contract to him, and the Ravens don't want to trade him, for whatever. Yeah, obviously you don't want to trade Lamar Jackson. If you take him off that team, I mean, that team's awful.
But the problem is, I think a lot of those owners speaking up ahead of time puts a tink in that of saying, "Oh no, we don't have no reason."
That's a great point. I just think
nobody said nothing.
Now here's my thing. What I'm saying when I say that is I'm talking about how it could be seen as a textbook example of collusion.
Oh,
they're gonna say he got a job. In my mind, people deciding that they don't want to get engaged to this is ridiculous. What's the hardest thing to get in sports is an in prime number 1 tier quarterback, because teams just don't put them out there. They just don't get out there. Like, they get signed up damn near as soon as a year before they rights are even up. Like, it just don't happen. But when I look at how this is being handled and everything that's going into this, like how many teams that just have no sense to bow out of it, like it makes sense now why the Panthers didn't get into it. They was moving up to get, they wanted to do something different, whatever. That's their choice. Some of these teams like Atlanta,
Atlanta definitely. Think about Lamar Jackson in Atlanta.
Oh, I mean, we've seen that before. We had 30 for 30. No. Different guy. Sorry, too soon. Different guy. I mean, I'll put it this way.
And that was a 2-parter.
There's a lot more teams in the NFL that could use Lamar Jackson than couldn't use him. And, they'll move water and do all sorts of stuff to make things happen to get guys all the time, but nobody wants to do it for this. I think some of it is that I do think there's some places where the contract don't make sense. I think there's some places where, they got a guy already, and I'm not going to say, hey, man, the Cincinnati Bengals need to go get Lamar Jackson. No, they got a guy already. You know what I mean? But, when I look at David Carr gets $130 million and, Daniel Jones is making $47 million next year, and Geno Smith gets $100 million, and Jimmy Garoppolo got a gig and all this stuff. I'm like, yo, those guys ain't moving the needle. Lamar's out there, and Lamar is definitely worth 2 first-round picks if you got the cap room and your team going to support it. So this is a wild-ass situation to me, and I think that there's a lot of things that could happen. I'm almost surprised that somebody's agent hasn't stepped up to say, listen, man, can I help out just so we don't tank out the market? We don't ruin the market. If I'm Joe Burrow's agent or Trevor Lawrence's agent or something, I'm calling Lamar hey, man, I won't even take anything away from this. I just want to help this get resolved so it helps my guys out. You got a lot of money that's getting ready to go in the market between.
Do you think to add to the collusion aspect, if he wanted to go that route, them with the Deshaun Watson, does that make it worse that y'all gave this alleged rapist all this extra money, and now I ain't did nothing wrong, I ain't did nothing in this situation, and
I think that could be hard. That'd be a hard.
I'm saying for a jury is a PR move. I think that's a good thing. You don't have to say that, but it's kind of underwritten in the kind of thing.
The Deshaun Watson contract has made things very complicated with the whole league and how all this stuff works out. I think that Lamar Jackson is catching the backlash for that.
Yes.
I think that the only difference, when I look at some of these guys like Justin Herbert, when I look at guys like even Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, all of them, they wasn't trying to go to a different team. The team they were on was just trying to keep them in tow. So the expectation Lamar has got is he's looking at all this. He's like, nah, man, I see what can happen. What can happen. I want that same thing. And he's not willing to bend the knee on it or whatnot. The cat who should be watching all this and should be really paying attention to how all this folds out is Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts is due cash right now. He is due money today. So, he got 1 year left. There ain't going to be a 5th-year extension because he wasn't a first-round pick. And, what you have to do is get locked in with him real soon. And you saw the Eagles let a lot of guys go because they know they got to get that taken care of, and they got to get in place with that. So,
who gets signed first?
What's that?
Who gets signed first, Lamar Jackson or Hurt?
Well, Lamar technically is signed already. He's got
for a new deal. Not
an extension deal?
Yeah.
I think, man, the way this is going right now, it really depends on if Lamar gets traded. The draft is coming up. I think people don't want to trade draft picks from this draft. I don't think Lamar could get traded before this draft, which is kind of wild because some contracts are going to guarantee and stuff like that's going to go into play. But anything can happen. So I would say that I think that Lamar is going to get resolved before Jalen. Jalen's a matter of time type thing. Jalen's going to happen. Jalen can happen just before camp. Lamar, they got to get this straightened out. They got to get this worked out because, like I said, it's starting to take bad undertones for everything, and something's got to give. I think it's going to have to be some give on both sides, but it's got to get straightened out because there's no reason we should be having more watch about where Aaron Rodgers plays in 2023 than Lamar Jackson. That's just asinine as hell to me.
And that's real. Dang. I want my brother to get his bread though.
I do too. I want that dude. I want him to get everything that's earned to him. Everything that belongs to him, he should get it. I think that you both got that Deshaun Watson deal and that Patrick Mahomes deal to blame for why things is working out the way they are. Though. Patrick took a whole lot of potential money for a long ass time. He took a baseball contract in a football sport, and that was always going to be an issue when you do that, when you cross over like that.
And and Deshaun Watson just is like, I'm going to pick this bag right now and run it up.
Nobody could care less than Deshaun Watson, who after he got that money, the team restructured it so he didn't have to pay out from it. His real money going to kick in this year because they said he wasn't making money last year when he was suspended, so he ain't really have to do it. Cleveland is the big homie team of the league. They gave Jadeveon Clowney. They gave Myles Garrett money after he smacked old dude in the head with that helmet, and then they ran that money over to him. That's the big homie squad right there. I bet you even Tyreek Hill said that autograph signed another day. He said, "Man, I was trying to sign with Cleveland."
I heard they giving out the big homie money.
Yeah, they giving it away guaranteed up there, boy. I bet you everybody in the league looked at that and said, "That's what I'm trying to get if they getting it like that." So
One thing I do want to ask you as we wrap up, man. How do you thinking about baseball, man, with the faster games, man? Like I did want you to kind of shed some light on that.
Yeah, so I went to my first game of the year the other day, and the first thing is that when you in it, you notice it. Like it's not even like subtle. Like you notice it. Like you kind of have to almost time your experience out differently as a viewer, because like you're gonna be there, and like the thing that's kind of wild is that like you'll go to the bathroom. If there's a line in that joint, you might miss an inning, like a straight up inning, just through just the amount of people going to the bathroom or standing in line to get something. Like it moves. There's no part of the game that's not timed now that's really like getting in there. And I'm really interested to see how it like pitchers deal with it. Because you've seen a lot of guys who've had to rework their motion, have to be cognizant of the clock. So you got to run on base. You got to watch that run on base because the bases are bigger now. So stealing bases is going to be a little bit easier as well. But you got this pitch clock, so you got to pay attention to this clock. You got to pay attention to when the batter gets in. You got to pay attention to when the guy gets on base. Like, there's a lot to it, but it feels really brisk. It feels really good. It's good to see more balls in play and more action happening because of that, because the shift is not in alignment anymore. Like, it's kind of like watching a different version of the sport, but in better ways. So I've enjoyed what it is. It makes the at-home experience move a lot quicker. The only questions I've really got about it is how is baseball going to reconcile both having quicker games, but also in a lot of ways selling less product? Like, because, one of the big drivers at a baseball game is going to be liquor sales. Well, they stopped liquor sales at the seventh inning stretch. So the game is faster, which means less commercials, but you also are having less time in the park. So you're doing less. And then also you have these huge media streaming issues that they've got right now with the Diamond Sports Group bankruptcy. So you don't even
Bally's, right? That's Bally's.
Yeah,
right?
And that's the holder of Bally's that holds 14 major league teams. So I mean, you got a lot of things that are at ahead as far as kind of like a game style and play revolution, but also a financial change. I mean, that could impact, in the case of some franchises, that could impact like 20% of their income this year on the TV side. But you're not replacing it with gains that are going as long and you're selling as much at the in-game experience anymore. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. It's going to be really wild also come the trade deadline and as the year goes along, because you still have a number of other teams that are earning money from their regional sports packages, but they're going to be able to maybe spend money and make trades that other teams aren't as comfortable with because they like, no, man, I got a little bit longer to go to payday. I don't know, man. Child support hit me kind of heavy right now. So I don't know if I can do all that. I'm going to see. You coming out this weekend? I'm going to see, man. I got a couple things going on. You're going to have a couple teams sitting at the house eating that Totino's pizza. You're going to have a few teams that's out having that steak.
Okay.
So, no, but it's great, man. It's good. It's good. It's good pace of play. You see a lot more stolen bases. You see a lot more actions. You see a lot more of the athleticism of the game. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the game adapts to this style that's driving it with this pitch clock.
Yeah, man. It's going to be interesting, man. I mean, somebody was like, man, I can't even get to the games late now.
No, you can't. You would get there. It'll just be the fifth inning. Like that's it. It'll be I was watching it just to see where it was at. And I was at opening day for the Cardinals. There was 34 hits in that game. Like they was just hitting the ball all over the place. And some of it was just, ball landing where it did, but some of it was because the shift wasn't there and people were hitting the ball in the right field and there wasn't a second baseman waiting for it in shallow right field. It's legitimately different, but they keep it moving. Guys are getting violations. They're getting automatic strikes called. They're getting automatic balls called. Somebody got struck out the other day because they didn't get in the box in time. And the whole thing it's wild, man. It's the same game, but it's different. And I do think there will be some tweaks, but I think you've seen a pretty big medium of what I think the style of play they want to be before it can be more engaging.
Man, we had another episode of Sports and There. This was a dope one, man, as always.
Hey, man, as always, man. Y'all, we appreciate everybody tuned in live. We appreciate everybody that's going to listen later.
Everybody jumped in. Shout out to J-Dog Boston. He did just say, not Kansas. They have Will Chamberlain and Paul Pierce. That's a top
Well,
dog.
they also got both of them, Marquise Morris, and they got Mario Chalmers, who's diamond LeBron out the other day. So
Yeah.
they got that. Will Chamberlain is a double dog too. So I mean, I ain't gonna. He was a dog in the streets and on the court. So I
Kansas
mean,
has a great
might be a dog
pipeline
in
in
the
LA, so I can't, and we don't know who's going to turn up from LA that's going to be on that Kansas squad every year.
Right, exactly. Even though they had a dude named Grady Dick, and I'm glad that's over. But we'll see what's going on with that.
Hey, he's a top 5 pick too.
Yeah, all right, whatever you say. Yeah, if your squad uses a pick on Grady Dick, you deserve whatever comes to you. But I bet you them jersey sales gonna be off the charts though. With like teenagers, he gonna have the most popping jersey in the league with teenagers
for no reason. Nobody gonna know nothing about him.
Yeah. Love, man. So hey, yo, like I always say, man, if you're checking this out inside the group, man, you already know where the action is at. You know what's happening. If you're checking this out, listening, join us on Facebook at the SOLC Sports and Culture page. We try to keep it popping in there, get a lot of different contributions from a lot of different people. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, we keep it moving through there. As always, you can catch the whole SOLC network everywhere. I mean, we all over the place. Daryl keeping the content rolling through. We getting into prime season for me too, so we can have a lot more of this rolling through.
We rolling them out.
Yeah, man. We got a lot happening. But hey, stay locked in. We appreciate y'all, man. Peace.